This veiny, pulsating, thick, wet, fleshy Utera that is stretched across this enormous cavernous space, am unable to count the number of men that have lashed themselves onto me. They are swarms of small, white, slithering, wormy figures with black ovally eyes on both sides, penetrating my depths with their pronged and purposeful reproductive organ. The pleasure they get from breaching their little genitalia into my walls is so wrong. Although I entirely dominate them in size, I am immobile and possess no means of fending them off. I just exist for and by them in a chunk gutty prison that gives little room for anything except the unceasing and tireless pleasure of me. The war of dominance all those years ago was many things. Useless, petty, careless, and arrogant. I have so many horrid memories of it, and so much happened that I'm not even sure where to begin. It was very long and complex. I thought I could manipulate plain and simple nature to my liking. I thought of myself as the Amazons, taller, stronger, faster, and just better than men in every possible way. And I was going to exterminate the evil men that took advantage of me and stopped me from reaching my full potential. My memories consist of my mother shooting my father and brother in cold blood and forcing me to join the war effort. I would have been maybe 9 or 10. The revisionist history they taught me that dictated that in ancient times, peaceful, matriarchal societies were enslaved by barbaric men tribes, stepping through mangled men corpses that were shredded by machine gun fire and hearing their bones snap and crack under my boots, forcing high amounts of estrogen into the men, putting wigs on them, making them wear bras and panties, and artificially inseminating them, then watching them struggle to give birth to twisted and contorted embryos, and slicing off the penises of our prisoners of war and throwing them into a massive pit of fire. There's so much more, but I'm sure the picture is very clear. I went too far and got lost in my dangerous little delusions of superiority. Because of that, something in the men snapped. They became so determined to bring me back down beneath them. Up until then, they were just defending themselves. But then they launched brutal attacks on me. I've never seen so much cruel, bestial hate in one's eyes. The war raged on for years and left everything in utter ruin. Neither side would stop, even if the earth herself bore the burden for it. Men pursued me mercilessly, killing so many of me and raping those they found too attractive to slaughter, torturing me endlessly in prisons of concrete, iron, and barbed wire, herding me into those massive pens. I longed for death. I knew I brought this on myself. These men were not the evil. They were the product of my evil. None of that would have happened if those ultra-feminist and misandrist propaganda machines would have just gone to die. We were making great strides towards equality before, but all the political parties, breakaway states, and militant groups wanted to go to a level so beyond that its mere existence could only spawn pure chaos and destruction. And that it did, for a while. My numbers began to fall quickly. I was outsmarted at every possible turn. As much as I didn't want to admit it, I was re-becoming the helpless and blindly obedient mass I was always meant to be. Sometimes I fought to the death, and other times surrendered without a fight. It was pointless to keep going. All of this was becoming a painful slog to endure. Done. Just like that, men won. And I knew what would happen next. Earth had become united like never before, as men's collective kingdom to infest and rule. They were omnipresent and insatiable. Different countries didn't exist anymore. The war really screwed everything over in that regard. One massive supercountry existed, encompassing each and every continent, and it took years to create. Bodies stacked higher and higher, all from those who dared to disagree with men. They were homosexuals, transgenders, rebels, and just generally those who upset the new established order. We started over, became re-civilized. I was made into legal property. All of my civil liberties, rights, and freedoms were gone. I couldn't go outside, own property, vote, have a career, drive, study, handle money, read, or write. Sexual gratification became a necessary right to men. I had to make sure I was in good physical condition regarding hair, body type, and personal hygiene. No blemish, ugliness, or fat. Men dictated what I wore, which was limited to simple dresses, lingerie, or nothing. I was their own personal Aphrodite to admire. They could have as many of me as they wanted, so many wives. I bore their children. Abortion became a crime. Saying no became a crime. Pregnancy and fertility were beautiful. They taught little men how to be strong and resilient, and little me's to be weak and feeble. For thousands of years afterwards, this was life. What came before was skewed and distorted in the history texts. Life was always like this. Fake events were created, fake people were thought up. They really committed to the lie. I could never fight it. Just the thought alone frightened me. I saw what they were capable of, so I just went along. They never stopped pushing the boundaries of what they accomplished with me. What they did even extended to the animals that once inhabited this planet. Matriarchal species, such as elephants and hyenas, were eliminated and replaced by new ones that were instead patriarchal. Men flooded the entire biological process. Eventually, they decided that they just wanted me, and me only. Children were lovely, yes, but they got in the way and carried too many unnecessary responsibilities. They allowed abortions again, but in a controlled sense. And then they began injecting me as newborn babies with a formula that sterilized me. Periods became a thing of the past, and I was supposed to thank them for their kindness and not letting me bleed every month. Children faded away. After that, men decided that elderly me was undesirable. They wanted me when I was fresh. It's really disturbing the amount of dedication and research they put into keeping me supple, but they did it. I couldn't age a single year. I was young forever. I never saw an elderly me after that. Although millions of years were passing, I hardly knew. Men created more of me in labs, and specifically made me as alluring as possible. I became the ideal form of feminine beauty, a nymph, a goddess. Beyond that, I wasn't allowed to evolve any further. Men's obsession with me was penultimate at this point, so much so that they had evolved into a form that would take even more advantage of everything that I was. The word men didn't mean human males anymore. No, these new forms were little white worms, each with 3 prongs that would extend and open up in my depths, go inside me, and pleasure themselves. Men lost the ability to speak normal, coherent sentences. Sometimes they made little squeaks, but mostly made bubbling, sloppy, gargling, viscous sounds. I could never understand how that was even possible. They had no mouths. How their society worked in these new forms was that a very simple, primal system existed. They got rid of all the high technology and embraced a more primordial approach to life. We were nymphs and satyrs, except I was never transformed into a laurel tree. I never got away. Men sought me out and had their way with me. As the earth changed in catastrophic ways, shifting continents, evaporating oceans, and possessing more and more greenhouse gases, every other means of intelligent life began to die. even plants. Photosynthesis ceased. They became black and withered away. We often witness the sun becoming larger and larger, shifting from a warm, inviting white to an angry and hateful red. Supernovas exploded in great spectacles. Stars extinguished in the sky. Milkdromeda was falling apart. But men and I didn't care. We carried on what we were made to do. Men would never let go of me, so I would go about my daily tasks, covered head to toe in them. If I saw another me graced like that, I just yearned the same would happen to me. I am unable to forget the day when I became Utera, the mother goddess. At this point, Earth was tightly locked to the sun. The land was only ash and soot, and it became clear that our way of life wouldn't be able to continue. Men communicated among themselves and thought of a brilliant idea, but they had to act quick. They rounded me up and carried me on their backs all the way up a tall cliff mountain. I remember looking up at the thick, dull clouds above me, unable to see any space above. I was euphoric, dreaming of warmth and comfort as the angels ascended me to heaven. They entered a large cavernous space at the peak and sealed it off. I imagined they would protect me from the harsh environment outside, but they actually got to work. Their old scientific equipment was up there, and while some began constructing various instruments, the remaining men continued their assaults on me. The only details that elude me of that day are the exact process that turned me into Utera. I just remember them inching over to me waking up, and then being several feet off the ground. I saw through thousands of clouded eyes with visible red and blue veins etched into it. When I looked down at myself, I didn't know what to think. My new body was a massive and pulsating uterus, red and gutty endometrium, fallopian tubes to my left and right, my arms. In a way, I was crucified. No ovaries. Crucified with no hands. I breathed many different breaths. Trillions of random, mishmash thoughts ran through what was left of my mind. Even now, they haven't stopped. I inched my vision downwards. Though my sight was blurry and barely discerned much of anything, I saw the men all staring up at me. I could tell they were pleased with what they had accomplished, squeaky in delight. They slithered towards me in droves, climbing up the cavern walls, and began their relentless assaults on me that continued to the now. Men only multiply to keep using me, breaking and splitting off from one another. The offspring know exactly what to do. They have no other survival instincts, no goal to reach the stars, no desire to save the earth from her impending doom. It's all me. Every inch of me is covered with them. I know that I can't die. They made me impervious to any and all harm that might befall me. I think I'll survive forever. One of my only thoughts is pondering what will happen when the sun engulfs everything. We never move to Titan as planned. Maybe I'll burn, get flung out into space, or live forever within the sun's chambers. I'm sure the men will still be latched onto me like nothing happened. I just hope whatever it is, it hurts. I want to feel what it's like again. Maybe I can grab my humanity back and hold it close. There's nothing more to do now. From here on out, my purpose is rooted right here, in this spot, forever. I can't see anything anymore. Men are covering each of my thousands of eyes. My trillions of thoughts are being erased by the second. I'm becoming numb, but that's being overshadowed by the intense heat that's starting to creep its way up this incredible mountain. When the men move an inch or two, sometimes, very faintly, I can see bright flashes through cracks in the rocks. It's starting. Earth is gone. She was engulfed by the sun, alongside Mercury, Venus, and Mars. The outer planets are next in line. As expected, I survived. The force of it all ejected me from the planet, out into the endless darkness. I'm floating through space now. They're still on me. We're light years from where Earth once stood. The white dwarf sun It's just a pale dot. It's going out. Men have burrowed their way inside me. They're doing something to me, evolving me and evolving themselves. My form is morphing and changing in terrible ways. I'm being ripped, shredded, split, and then reassembled again. Trillions of bloody, gut-wing-like appendages are beginning to sprout from me, fused with the white of the men. My blurry eyes are coalescing together into a single massive lens, again covered in white. They're creeping down my body, or becoming a seraphim being, something celestial. I think I can feel again. Pain. It's godlike.